Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sarah Avery, and I am the Executive Director of Quanta Change. So I'm wondering, do you ever put things off? Procrastinate? No? No one. Oh, wow. Okay, great. I guess we're done for today. Oh, wait. You're all nodding your head. Yes. Yeah, I know. I can relate, as can many, if not most, of the folks I have helped over more than 20 years through the Quanta Change process. So you're not alone. So I'm curious if you have tried to solve this problem, this procrastination problem for yourself. Have you maybe taken it to your therapist? Have you perhaps done some self-help work around it, or maybe just tried to fix it for yourself? Maybe you've tried to make better to-do lists, or maybe you found an app that's supposed to help with that. Maybe you just got a prettier chalkboard for your kitchen. How has that worked for you? If you found something that's worked, that is fantastic. If not, have you been frustrated that you haven't found something that's worked? Well, if that's the case, there are three things I want you to know. First, you are not lazy. That is not it. Two, you're not alone, like I already said. And three, it's not your fault if the things that you've been trying haven't worked. Not your fault. So if those things haven't worked, it's because they haven't been able to get to the source of the problem, the root of the problem. More specifically, they haven't been able to get to the part of you that stores the root of this problem of procrastination. So it is your sense of self that stores the root of procrastination and maybe some other problems that have been vexing you. And that root is something that Quanta Change calls learned distress. Learned distress is the feeling that you absorbed very early in life that there's something wrong with you being just the way that you are. And there are a couple of components to learned distress. There's that raw, icky feeling that there's something wrong with you. And then there's also a survival mechanism that your brain developed very early in life to help you move along in life and handle that as best you can. And your sense of self uses learned distress to automatically generate all of the negative situations and conditions and patterns that have been going on in your life beyond your rational input or control. So when I say this phrase, there's something wrong with you, does that ring a bell? Does it sound horribly familiar? Yeah, I know. Learned distress is just awful. It feels awful. Have you been trying to get at that and just been frustrated that you haven't been able to change it somehow? So if so, let me explain a little bit more about how Quanta Change works in general to remove layers of learned distress. And then I will get into more specific learned distress roots of procrastination. So your sense of self that stores how you feel about being yourself is protected from rational level change. So have you ever tried to think your way out of some negative feeling? Maybe the feeling that you don't matter or that you're not good enough. Maybe the feeling that you always have to be more perfect all the time. The feeling that no matter what you do, things aren't going to work out for you. Things like that. Have you tried to think your way out of that and you just find that it hasn't worked? Well, so, and have you felt like maybe you felt a little bit better, but then you felt snapped right back into that negative feeling? So that is because there's a wall of resistance to change that protects your sense of self from change. And that wall of resistance to change is active, operating while your rational thinking brain is operating. So that is why Quanta Change works with your brain at a time when your rational level brain is shut down entirely. And that time is sleep. What Quanta Change allows you to do is get to your sleeping brain while your sense of self is recharging and tell it, I want to recharge with my core natural well-being. This is the feeling that you are just great being yourself, instead of recharging with the learned distress. And as a result of that, layers of learned distress are peeled off permanently, and your natural core well-being, that feeling that you're just great being yourself, it expands to take the place that the learned distress was sitting. And as you might guess, you feel better as a result, but also things in your life work better and more easily without so much incredible effort or not seeing results at all. So let me get now into more specific roots of procrastination from the learned distress point of view. I don't think I'm going to outline 3 of them. I don't think that you're going to relate to all of them. So if you don't hear one that you relate to first, just keep listening. So the very first one is the feeling or the fear that you can't do things perfectly enough, or maybe well enough, or perhaps you can't do things in a specific certain way that you just really need to be able to do in order to be okay. And so this is a big one for me. This is the root of my procrastination. I have found, if you can relate to that, I found that when I dig into it, it happens with the smallest things, like things you would never think about doing things perfectly, like let's say pulling weeds or maybe cleaning my house. You know, the learned distress pressure of having to do things more perfectly or more in this certain way all the time really keeps pressing on us and keeps us feeling more and more over time like we just can't do things well enough. So does that ring a bell for you? Okay, if not, what about this one? So some folks procrastinate because they have a fear of being judged once they've finished something. Folks with this pattern tend to feel that they have a really strong sense that there's a right way versus a wrong way to do things, or that there are very narrow parameters within which their behavior must sit. So when they have this pattern, they really feel like if they were to finish something, then it can be judged. It's going to be judged to be wrong, and then they won't be okay. So does that ring a bell? Okay, so if not, there's one more. It's quite different. So this one, folks with this pattern feel a need to rebel against the rules and norms all the time. If this is your learned distress survival mechanism, you might have said something like that. Their rules are stupid, and I am not following stupid rules. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you ever said something like that? So if so, first of all, it may very well be true. I'm sure it is, that some of the rules that society or an authority or your family or someone else asks you to follow probably are stupid. But folks with this pattern tend to rebel against all of the rules, knee-jerk fashion, and that can really get in the way of you accomplishing something that's important to you. So if that rings a bell, I'm going to get to an example. My second example is going to address someone who saw really big change in that way. So a couple of examples here. The first one is more in the realm of my first parameter, this or first root, this feeling that I have to do things more perfectly or more in this certain particular way all the time. So a client I had with this pattern had been trying for months and months. She had put off for months and months, I guess, this task about her business finances and some financial planning and taxes and whatever. Wondering if you can relate to procrastinating around money or taxes. Yeah, it is a really common one where we feel our learned distress really get in the way for us there. And so you're not alone if you feel that way. So she had been doing some big unlearning in this realm of having to do things in this particular way. And she said, she just one day said, you know what, this Sunday, I'm going to put this on my task list and I'm going to get it done. And she was feeling good about that. But, she walked into her office on Saturday night and she thought, you know what, I'll get ready for tomorrow. I'll pull some files out. I'll get some things together. And as she did that, she realized, oh, well, this is going to take no time at all. She put all of her numbers together. She got it all organized. And then on Monday morning, she called this accountant that she'd been putting off calling because she was scared about all of this. She called this accountant, and the person had time right then. And they got it all worked out in a few minutes, and it was done. And she said it came out better than she had expected, and it was so easy. And this is what I find with Quanta Change all the time, is it's not just that it's a better way to kind of force yourself into doing something that you need to do, but really that you just find yourself more easily doing this thing that before you could not even make yourself do. So the other example I have is in that third category of rebelling against the rules. And my client here had been consistently procrastinating about some work deadlines, so much so that she was really feeling scared that she was going to lose her job. And even with that really intense fear that she was going to lose her job, she still could not get herself to meet these deadlines. If I remember correctly, they were weekly deadlines. And so she was really scared, but she didn't know what to do, and she was really frustrated. And I wonder if you can relate to that. If there are things that you procrastinate on that bring about real jeopardy around something that matters to you. Maybe it's your job, like her. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's some aspect of your security, like your housing or something like that. So if you find that you really procrastinate about these really important things, let me give you some hope around that. So she started to unlearn around this like rebelling against the rules thing. And again, she just found herself. She said, wait a second, you know what? For the last 2 weeks in a row, I met my work deadline. And then next week she came back and she said, I got my stuff done early. I got my report in early. What happened? Because I didn't force myself to do it. In fact, if you made me force myself, I couldn't do it. So she said, this was really different. I didn't have to force it. And she said also that in this realm of rules and feeling resistance to rules, suddenly things lightened and eased up there. And she really had some space. Instead of just automatically rejecting rules and rebelling against them, she felt like she had space to evaluate and decide, wait, is this something that I need to do that's good for me to do? Or is this something I don't need to worry about? So I've seen that a lot also. So does that sound good? Is this something you've been wishing for, that you could get things done more easily without delaying or avoiding or worrying for a long time? That's me. Or even missing deadlines and feeling like you were in real jeopardy and reaping the consequences of that. So for more than 20 years, I have been seeing layers of learned distress peel off for people around this realm of procrastination so that they can more easily get things done, have more ease in their life around things that matter to them, or even just little daily tasks that get easier. So if you're interested in experiencing this kind of change for yourself, the first thing to do is to find out which type of learned distress you have, or which pattern. There are 6 of these patterns. They're called idealist, optimist, perfectionist, caregiver, defeatist, and dictator, or benevolent dictator. And the reason to find out your pattern is not just so you can dig into it more, so you can examine it, dwell on it, maybe find a better way to control it. It's not for that reason at all. It's so that you can see what you're going to be getting rid of through the Quanta Change process, which allows you to reveal and have more access to your core natural well-being, the part of you that feels good about being you, the part of you that really can allow things to happen more easily in your life, allow your life to work better. So in order to get that report, you're going to go to my website, take a free, in-depth, scientifically validated personality test that measures your learned distress. And I will graph it for you and send you this free report that will summarize and show you your pattern of learned distress, how you've been surviving with it, and how Quanta Change really can help you peel off layers of that learned distress so you can feel better, so your life can work better. In order to do that, you're going to go to my website, Quanta Change, Quanta change.com, and click on the free report button, and I will put that link in my bio and in all the usual places. So if you've been procrastinating, I hope that you feel some hope. It really can change. And thank you so much again for joining me today. I will look forward to joining you next week to describe another way in which Quanta Change really can help you feel good being you. Thank you.